Let's make a brief recap of the first three parts. COVID-19 is a flu virus. It was made in a lab as yet another attempt by the cabal to manipulate the people into their goal, forced vaccinations. One should wonder why a man like Bill Gates, who openly promotes reducing the world population, gladly offering his vaccines to get there, at the same time shouts off the rooftops that everybody must be vaccinated against COVID-19 in order to save lives. I thought he wanted less people, not more. Whatever will be in his corona vaccines, apart from the usual heavy metals, remains to be seen. But I would not be surprised if Dr. Lieber's nanotechnology will be part of it. Remember the influences of our brains and our behavior? Definitely not something I'm yearning for. As we saw in part 1, the drama that took place in China had nothing to do with the coronavirus. What happened there was the result of a gruesome bioweapon. Thanks to the immediate lockdown, the devastating effect of this weapon remained within China's borders. The rest of the world is stuck with a flu virus, quite likely manufactured with the money of Bill Gates, a Rockefeller descendant who bought power and influence in every branch of medical science. The World Health Organization, too, floats on the dollars of Gates/the Rockefellers. Due to the billions of dollars that circulate in this giant, you can rest assured that the WHO is neither objective nor reliable. I'm sure there are many people working for the WHO in good faith, but as they have been educated by the Rockefeller universities, see part 2 of my documentary about the fall of the cabal, therefore absorbing and accepting study material that was promoted as the truth by the same powerful cabal family, their opinion in the COVID-19 case too is tainted and thus unreliable. So, what is the situation like at this moment? Well, it's interesting to say the least. According to the authorities, it's a war zone. But according to the people on the ground, it's actually not that bad.
And for a society like ours, it means that very soon you will start seeing a major impact on the economy. We already see that. If the economy is ruined, you have unemployment, you have poverty, you have bankruptcies, you have lots of diseases that are associated with this sort of social and economic disruption. We have strong evidence that that can lead to an increase in depression, in anxiety, in suicides, in heart attacks, in common things, in things that cumulatively could have a much higher impact on deaths compared to what SARS-CoV-2 can achieve on its own.
Ich finde sie grotesk, überbordend und direkt gefährlich. Jeder ältere Mensch hat das Recht, sich zu bemühen, nicht zu den 2200 zu gehören, die jeden Tag uns verlassen. Hierfür hat er seine Hobbys, betreibt Sport, pflegt seine sozialen Kontakte, besucht Veranstaltungen und so weiter und so fort. Das fällt jetzt alles weg. Sie können davon ausgehen, dass diese Maßnahmen insgesamt die Lebenserwartung dieser 2200 Menschen verkürzen wird.
Also an der Geschichte sehen Sie schon, dass dieser Test sehr unzuverlässig ist. Das ist ein PCR-Test, also ein Test auf PCR-Basis, wo falsch Positive vorprogrammiert sind. Das heißt, wenn Sie ein Molekül von irgendwas haben, kann der schon positiv reagieren. Das heißt ja nicht, dass der Patient dann krank ist. Das heißt noch nicht einmal, dass er das Coronavirus tatsächlich hat. Das wird ja nie isoliert, sondern man verlässt sich voll und ganz auf diesen Test. Wenn Sie den Test wegnehmen würden, dann wäre das Leben wie vorher. Dann würde hier überhaupt nichts zu sehen sein an der verstärkten Sterblichkeit oder Mortalität oder Erkrankungshäufigkeit. Ist überhaupt nichts zu sehen, ist überhaupt nichts los im Moment. Im städtischen Krankenhaus haben sie jetzt 20 Intensivmedizinbetten aufgebaut und warten jetzt sehr dringend auf die ersten Opfer. Ja. Da wird nichts kommen, da bin ich ganz sicher.
Die haben das alles mitgemacht, die haben hofiert. Und so werden jetzt auch die Politiker hofiert von vielen Wissenschaftlern. Wissenschaftler, die wichtig sein wollen in der Politik, weil sie Gelder brauchen für ihre Institute. Wissenschaftler, die dann in diesem Mainstream mitschwimmen und die auch was haben wollen. Wir können auch helfen. Wir haben eine App und wir haben ein Datenprogramm, wir können das machen, da gibt es ganz viele, die sagen, hier, wir wollen da auch helfen. Das heißt, sie wollen auch Geld verdienen damit, wollen wichtig werden damit. Aber da fehlt bei uns so diese nüchterne Betrachtungsweise. die einfach mal fragt, und woran habt ihr das erkannt, dass es gefährlich ist? Wie war es denn vorher? Hatten wir das nicht letztes Jahr auch schon? Ist das überhaupt was Neues? Das fehlt.
More and more medical doctors speak up and tell us about the faults in the official narrative. They talk about the lack of data, that there simply isn't enough information to come to any conclusions. They point out that numbers are incorrect, that tests are unreliable, and that the social consequences of the lockdown will be far greater than the virus. Is it wise to isolate people? To shut down entire countries? If so, why do countries such as Sweden and Japan that decided to move forward and to not join the lockdown, how come those countries do not experience an exponential outbreak of this killer virus? Sweden, 373 deceased. Japan, 69. Let's take a look at the situation in my own country, the Netherlands. According to the mainstream media, the intensive care units cannot handle the tsunami of patients. Nurses go home crying. The crematoria cannot deal with the overflow of bodies. Well, according to medical doctors and staff, the ICUs are not experiencing tsunamis of patients. Sure, it's always busy at ICUs. Sick and traumatized people are brought in all the time, and right now, more people with severe flu symptoms and pneumonias are administered, as is normal in times of flu epidemics. But all the hospitals we called in on were not having dramas or panic at their intensive care units. Only one province was really busy, Brabant, but not at every Brabant hospital. When I talked to the spokesman of the Corona hotline on the 3rd of April, he told me things were looking good. The peak was over, thanks to less new patients, more recovered and discharged people, and the transfer of some patients to other hospitals. Things are settling down, he said, but not according to the 9 o'clock news and the newspapers. We talked to medical staff throughout the country. They all gave us the same picture. Everybody is waiting. Waiting for the flow of patients they were prepped for. Everything's ready. Hospital beds, ICUs, medical staff, doctors. They're waiting for the peak. At this moment, the COVID-19 numbers in the Netherlands are fairly stable. Some municipalities gain infected people, others do not. So, the only truly affected province is Brabant. In Brabant, 213 people died. And that's really sad, and I send my heartfelt condolences to their loved ones, I really do. But the average age of these 213 people? 82 years. 82 and a half to be precise, as a most helpful RIVM spokesperson just told us. How many had other illnesses apart from COVID-19? 83%. 83 out of 100 people were already old, sick and weakened. By the book of an ordinary seasonal flu. Right now, on April 4, 15,723 people tested positive in the Netherlands. But mind you, this number tells us nothing at all. Half of it was diagnosed incorrectly, thanks to an unreliable test pushed through by the World Health Organization. The majority of people experience only mild symptoms. Some have the real flu, which is taken care of properly by the body itself, by means of a fever that sweats it all out, and the rest was already old and sick and undoubtedly hosted a variety of viruses, among which corona. Apart from that, this official number, 15,723, is cumulative, everything added together. The recovered people are not subtracted. Why not? According to the RIVM, because they don't get this information from the hospitals. And so, for weeks now, the official number of healed corona patients has remained at 250. In other words, there are not 15,723 corona patients. The number is much lower. Like Dr. Bhakti clearly explained, most infected people are asymptomatic, which means they don't have any symptoms at all. They have no illness whatsoever. Why on earth are they even in the statistics? Furthermore, a lot of people have recovered. Not just the 250 the authorities mention, according to the medical doctors who do the real work in the field. People are declared healed on a daily basis. Countless corona patients only have minor symptoms. They stay in bed for a few days, after which they're back on their feet, according to the RIVM itself. This is fantastic news. But instead of headlines like "so and so many recovered patients have left the hospitals," the mainstream media choose headlines like these. Yet another interesting thing. Let's have a look at the average amount of casualties due to respiratory diseases. After all, COVID-19 belongs to the SARS family, illnesses that affect the lungs. Every year, an average of 11,850 people die of respiratory diseases, of which 3,225 die of pneumonia. COVID-19 pales in comparison. What exactly is going on? It didn't fully dawn on me until I read the official documents about the COVID-19 tests of the American CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It describes how doctors should test people for the virus, the procedure, how to send the samples, etc. Well, we'd already heard from several experts that the tests are unreliable, but when I read this, I was shocked. On page 34, chapter Limitations, it reads, "This test cannot rule out diseases caused by other bacterial or viral pathogens." Say what? That means that God knows how many people have been diagnosed with COVID-19 although they were actually infected with other viruses, or even with bacteria? How many medical doctors are aware of this? I suspect not that many. Why not? Because they are simply too busy to read all of these reports in their small print. Because they blindly trust the authorities that cannot be trusted, as too much money and power are involved. Do you realize what we're dealing with here? Fraud. Fraud of numbers. Fraud of statistics. I find this shocking. I may be naive, but this is not right. Every bronchitis, every pneumonia, every asthma attack can and will now be diagnosed as COVID-19. Medical doctors rely on tests that are not reliable, as openly admitted by the CDC, so they cannot be sued. The official corona data are corrupted. The entire situation is exaggerated to the point of insanity. Even if the official numbers were correct, they are not high enough to turn the whole thing into a drama. Let's have a look at the casualties of 2 years ago, shall we? When nobody was talking about a pandemic? In the US alone, more than 60,000 people died of the flu in one winter. In 2018, 40,000 people died in traffic in the US. 48,500 people died by suicide. 170,000 people died in unintentional injury death. 610,000 people died of cancer, of which 154,000 of lung cancer, mostly caused by cigarettes that are still for sale at every corner of our streets. But in the case of the corona flu, countries are on lockdown. Public places are closed. We are not to approach each other any closer than 1.5 meters. We are not allowed to form groups any bigger than 3 people. We can no longer shake hands, let alone hug each other. And if we do, simply because we understand how we are being screwed by the authorities, we are asocial and dangerous. For those people, there are now whistleblowers hotlines. And guess what? There were countless people who called them on day one. I guess we cannot wait to betray each other. Have we learned nothing from our past? Have we forgotten that this is what the NSB did during World War II? Betray each other? This is exactly what the cabal wants. Divide and conquer. As old as humanity itself, divide and conquer. And it works, time and again. Why? Because people refuse to learn from the past. They refuse to think for themselves and ask critical questions. Are those numbers correct? Let's call some hospitals and see for myself. We'd rather be lied to than think independently. Our king sends out a video message in which he and our queen and the princesses incite us to applaud for the Dutch healthcare professionals. Heroes who risked their lives in the battle against this horrific virus. I fully agree. Healthcare professionals are heroes, absolutely, and I will lovingly applaud each and every day. I truly mean that. But because of the flu? Because of manipulated data and fraudulent numbers? Most Dutch civilians applauded nicely by direction of the King of Oranje-Nassau, like a herd of sheep. Because, well, we don't really want to do our own research, and we certainly don't want to put our heads above the parapet, do we? And let's be honest, the togetherness was just lovely. Yes, it was. But we don't need a virus for that. And we most certainly do not need a king to show us how to do it. I've decided to make this sequel because I am shocked by the willful lies that we, the people, are bombarded with. Lies about mortality rates, lies about the gravity of the situation, lies about ICU dramas. Critical Anons started actions on social media, asking their friends to go to hospitals and see for themselves what the situation was like. What did they find? Empty wards, empty beds, empty ambulances, empty waiting rooms. And what was lied about most of all, empty tents where the COVID-19 patients were said to be administered.
There's nobody here. What is going on?
And it was a big show put on with all the people supposed to be getting tested. And a big mad show. People look at the testing centres. This is what they're telling you testing is going on in. Where's the testing? They're empty. They're abandoned people. There is no testing going on. Wake up, people. Wake bloody well up. Where's the testing? Where is it? The show that's getting put on for you. Leo and Coveney and Simon will be down now for their photo op soon and have loads of people with masks letting on to be coming in to get tested. Look, there we are. There is no bloody testing. Wake up, people. Right down to the end, look. There is no testing going on in these tents. It's all a show. Wake up. Everywhere. Respiratory lab, look at this.
Empty.
Oh my God. This is crazy. James Street Hospital, people. Oh my God, admissions. Totally empty. Look at this. Totally empty.
In Elmhurst, Queens, that hospital there, lines of people lining up already this morning for about the last 45 minutes.
Somebody said there would be hordes of people inside, that's why I didn't go in. Let's see. And look at that. Nobody. Completely empty. This is police, no EMS.
With the growing number of patients as supplies dwindle, you can see barricades behind us set up here outside of the hospital to keep order here because so many have been lining up every day to get tested.
Where's the long lines of people trying to get tested? I don't see that.
I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what it looks like here in New York City. The mayor, the governor says our hospitals have been turned into war zones. Well, I want to give you an idea of what that war zone looks like here in downtown Brooklyn. So this is my neighborhood. This is the Brooklyn Hospital Center. And again, you're hearing one thing on the mainstream media, and this is what it's like in reality. This is where people normally stand up to get testing for the coronavirus. But as you can see, not much happening. And this is a hospital that serves thousands and thousands of people here in downtown Brooklyn, New York. There are no lines of people. There is no mass chaos out here, contrary to what the mainstream media is telling you.
Ambulances have seen a surge in calls, responding to nearly 5,800 Thursday.
All parked ambulances. No patients. Nobody's rushing anywhere.
In fact, we've got a couple of ambulances here waiting to be called into action. Here's some busy, crazy busy guys. Yep, they're on their cell phone.
Walk-in healthcare clinics around the state say they've been overwhelmed by the demand for coronavirus testing, causing frustration.
We were overwhelmed yesterday with the response to people wanting testing.
Night after night being told there are these long lines of people being managed at the urgent care, that they're being overwhelmed.
Some waiting as long as 4 hours.
Actually, the president or CEO of urgent care, while I was in front of the place, was telling me, we're doing the best we can, managing these massive lines. I'm like, I'm here, lady. And there's no lines. So are these the overwhelming lines that you guys have been lying to the people of Hawaii about? I'm a journalist, and this is going to be a column, and it's going to be read nationally. About how you're lying, that there are massive lines.
I never said there were massive
that you're doing.
We were overwhelmed yesterday with the response.
You tested 25 people here yesterday?
You know what?
You said that. You didn't test 25 people.
Okay, you're videotaping people trying
No, I
to
didn't.
get into a medical
No, I didn't. I got nobody going in.
No.
I can understand an ICU of an old hospital not being able to deal with the pressure of more patients than normal. I can fully understand the situation of not enough beds, of bad management. But willfully lying to the public? Why? To spread fear? And why on earth on this scale? Why do men in white suits appear right after an intoxicated homeless man was taken away by the police to put up papers that said this man had died of COVID-19? Who sent them?
The homeless man that we are told that just died, we've just seen the police take him away to the hospital. I'm filming this now. And you're lying to us, spreading fear, telling us that this man died. And he's just been down there and saw that he is not dead. He has just been taken to the hospital by the police. He spoke to both the police and the homeless man. That man was a bit drunk. He asked him if he was okay and he was fine. This was 5 to 10 minutes ago. And now you're coming up here spreading lies and fear and telling me this man is dead and he is not dead. This man is not dead. Take them letters, take them somewhere else, because that man is not dead. I've been feeding that man.
Wait.
He's lying.
Can I ask you to stop filming?
Can I ask your name?
I'm from One Housing.
You're from One Housing. Can I ask your name? We have just seen the police take him to the hospital 5 minutes ago. You are liars. You are spreading fear for no reason. No one died in this building today. Nobody died. What time did you get this report? Can I just ask?
About a couple of hours ago.
A couple of hours ago, but we've literally saw this man taken away 10 minutes ago, healthy.
That's fine. Now that you've told us that, we will go on.
Can I ask who gave you the report that this man was dead?
It's fed from One Housing.
From One Housing. One Housing told you that this man was dead, so you came round in your suits to spread fear amongst. Look at them children in there, and you're spreading fear amongst all.
What the hell is going on here? Why are the mainstream media spreading deliberate lies about lines of people that aren't there, about temp dramas that aren't there either? I furthermore decided to make this sequel because I am shocked by the social consequences of the corona pandemic lie. Whistleblowers' lines. We're going to have the situation of two opposing camps, those in favour of the harsh corona measures and those against. The people who can no longer comply with this collective insanity as they woke up and see will be exposed to the anger of those who strongly hold on to their beliefs shaped by the authorities. And I can assure you that the fury of a community ruled by fear is much more terrifying and dangerous than 10 flu viruses together. And the cabal? They laugh and laugh and laugh. Divide and conquer. Everyone who opposes the corona measures can now be arrested. When you recommend the use of vitamin C against corona, you risk a large fine. No warning, but an immediate fine that can amount to 150,000 euros. It is prohibited by law to recommend vitamin C. Everyone who invites more than 3 people at their home can be arrested. Everyone who reopens his restaurant as to avoid bankruptcy will be fined to the point of bankruptcy, and he'll go to prison on top of it. Traders will be rewarded, just like during World War II, and they'll actually believe they did something good. If it's for the cabal to decide, the authorities will keep shouting off the rooftops that COVID-19 can only be overcome when everybody is vaccinated. And the woke ones amongst us, those who went looking for the truth, who came to different conclusions and who do not want the COVID vaccine, will get the worst of it. Oh, it won't be that bad, is what I hear people say. Really? Well, what can you do? Demand a referendum? They were abolished. In 2018, the referendum was abolished after the Dutch people did not want something their government did want. The result? The Dutch government pushed it through and got rid of the referendum. There are still many people in my beautiful little country who truly believe the Netherlands to be a democracy. Forget it. It's a police state. If you don't believe me, look up the definition of a police state and compare it to the Dutch state of affairs. It's not rocket science, you know. The police will now deploy drones with cameras and facial recognition software in order to find and prosecute the liabilities in our society. It's already done in China. But hey, people say, that's not going to happen here. We're no communist country. No, we're not. But we're no democracy either. Not anymore. How bitter is it to be called tin-foiled hat by people who are convinced their government would never do anything to harm them? How on earth are we supposed to deal with that? What to say? Where to start? The same people still believe they can call on the Dutch constitution in case things do go wrong. How naive. I suggest they talk to a lawyer. They will explain the constitution was never any good to civilians. I will quote an expert on this matter. The constitution is a piece of paper that is of absolutely no use whatsoever to civilians. It was set up by policymakers who can and will adjust it when it serves them. The same skeptics who think they see things clearly do not know that the Dutch constitution has been subjected to the European Constitution, the United Nations and the World Health Organization since 1953. Every Dutch citizen is subjected to the whims of the European Court and these cabal institutions. And when they say you should be vaccinated, they have the legal right to force it upon you. No Dutch constitution can or will protect you. And if you refuse, you will be arrested and vaccinated by force. Do you really think I believe in conspiracy theories? Then explain to me why at the end of March last month contaminated test kits were intercepted in the UK? Contaminated with COVID-19. Seriously? Do you believe that was just a mistake? I absolutely believe in conspiracies. How can you not? The entire history of mankind is built on a chain of conspiracies. Every historian will attest. Unfortunately, we are not talking about conspiracy theories. These are conspiracy facts. Bill Gates is now emphasizing the importance of COVID-19 vaccines. Not only that, he wants a certificate for those who were vaccinated. Of course, he's not talking about a piece of paper. He means a digital certificate, a chip, so that every world citizen can be monitored.
Eventually, what we'll have to have is certificates of who's a recovered person, who's a vaccinated person, because you don't want people moving around the world. So eventually there will be sort of this digital immunity proof that will help facilitate the global reopening up.
In Kentucky, they now want ankle bracelets for the COVID-19 infected so that when they leave their homes, they can immediately be arrested and corrected. Ever heard of re-education camps? Go find out about Obama's FEMA camps. Ah, well, the US, that's so far away. Fair enough. How about the UK? Just around the corner? The UK just pushed through HC Bill 122 that states that the British authorities have the right to arrest anyone who is suspect of being infected with the coronavirus. Did you hear what I just said? If you cough, you might have COVID-19, which can result in your immediate arrest, after which you can be legally forced to endure a medical exam, think contaminated or at least faulty test kits, after which you can be kept in isolation for any length of time. In other words, locked up. Then the authorities have the right to tell you whom to interact with, what jobs you can have, and where you can go. Furthermore, it is now much easier to put people away in psychiatric wards. How convenient if you want to get rid of, say, people who study the fall of the cabal or who try to decode Q posts. Just put them away and sedate them. Do you realise what this means? It makes 1984 by George Orwell pale in comparison. And of course the mainstream media will say it's all nonsense. Well, I invite you to read the 319 pages of HC Bill 122. It explains it loud and clear. In the UK, A bill, by the way, is a proposed law. It is now in the hands of Parliament, and I just wonder how long before it's pushed through with nobody noticing because everybody was too busy making a drama out of a flu virus. That, my Dutch friends, is the current situation in the UK. There's only a small pond between our countries. Not so far away anymore, is it? And the Netherlands? Apart from drones with facial recognition cameras? I just received a message from Telegram warning about fake corona news, inciting us to only listen to the authorities. 5G is now being pushed through while nobody's watching. Streets are empty, schools are closed. Everybody needs to keep a distance, except for the 5G engineers. Loads of Dutch people are against 5G, but what can you do? Demonstrate? You can't any longer. A referendum? They don't exist anymore. The majority of the people are living in fear. Fear for COVID-19. They don't have a clue that in reality they should be afraid of their own government instead. The goal of my documentaries is not to spread fear, but to create clarity about the reality we live in. Wake up! Accept no more lies. Think for yourself, independently, and take action. In my 10-part documentary, The End of the World as We Know It, The Fall of the Cabal, I have shown what we are dealing with here. Is there hope? Yes, there is. There always is. Anyone who lives in fear is blind. Blind for the most beautiful developments that grow every single day. Blind for the signs in the fields and the skies as the Hopis prophesied a brand new era of peace. However, we the people will have to make it happen. Yes, we do have help from the top. We have Q. Thank God we do. But that doesn't mean we can lean back and relax. We need to take action. Wake up! Realise that whistleblowers hotlines are a no-go. You do not betray each other. Realise that you can help and assist each other without the need of a common enemy, whether Al-Qaeda or a virus. Accept the fact that others may have a different opinion. That's okay. We don't need to agree on everything. Listen to each other and start a dialogue. Not a discussion, a dialogue. We don't need vaccination against the flu. We don't need 5G's destructive frequencies. We don't need drones with cameras and facial recognition to be safe. Big Brother is no longer welcome. We need each other to create a beautiful new world. A world of hope, love, harmony, compassion and joy. That is my goal with these documentaries. And you know what? We're going to make it. Ever heard of the 100 Monkeys theory? That's science for you. Beautiful, honest science. At the beginning of the previous century, a group of biologists studied monkeys on several islands in the Pacific. The monkeys lived a simple life, and the biologists took notes. One day, all of a sudden, one monkey washed a sweet potato in salt water prior to eating it. It probably tasted better that way, so more monkeys followed in his footsteps. After a while, a lot of monkeys imitated this new behavior, washing their food in salt water before eating it. The critical mass was reached, after which each and every monkey on each and every island showed exactly the same behavior. How was that possible? The biologists had no idea what they had just witnessed. The islands were too far apart for the monkeys to be in direct contact. This is how the theorem arose that when the critical mass is reached, a tipping point is triggered. That is, when a certain percentage of individuals adapt a new behavior, then suddenly, and without exception, everybody follows, no questions asked. The phenomenon of the quantum fields, or morphogenetic fields, was born. The 100 Monkeys theory combined with the Q phenomenon are the reason why my heart is filled with faith and joy. I choose a beautiful new world. There are now millions of QAnons who all believe in a wonderful future. My documentaries have been watched over 11 million times in the past 3 months. The tipping point, the critical mass, is within our reach. Maybe we just need one more monkey. And I can assure you that I will continue making documentaries until we have reached that last monkey. Because if I can choose between my heart filled with fear or my heart filled with love, joy and faith, well, I can assure you that's an easy choice. I'll give you one more thing to ponder. Trump once said they should never have touched the children. At this moment in time, the first reports are coming in about children being rescued from tunnels. First in California, now in New York. Why are aid workers bringing cots, diapers and even incubators to the massive ships Mercy and Comfort? If those vessels were really meant for COVID-19 victims, meaning older people, why relief supplies for children? Trump said, "We are at war with an invisible enemy." Did you really think he was talking about a virus? Or did he refer to the cabal? A perfect topic for a future sequel. For now, I'll finish with the question I just asked. If you can choose between a heart filled with fear or one filled with love, hope and faith, what do you choose? My point exactly. Where we go one, we go all.